Today, I want to share with you, I want to explain about the attitude of the laity as taught by the Buddha towards the Sangha, and this is the occasion of offering to the monks in support of the Sangha. And we know that the monks are considered as the supreme field of blessing. Anuttarang punyang punya khetang. So and that's why the ceremony today is organized in the belief, in the understanding that you do this in support of the Sangha, that is in support of the Triple Gem, in support of religion, on behalf of the deceased. And today is Mr. Lei Yok Kwan. And understanding that doing so will accrue great merit for Lei Yok Kwan. Even the importance of merits. Merit is not just a question of superstition, it's not a question of just custom once again. And I shall leave it for another occasion to explain this. At the beginning, I want to again remind all of us that we are very happy actually to be able to do this ceremony for Carol Lee Wan Yin, because we are all here connected with her and with the Center of Buddhist Studies, and Carol Lee, I can say, is the most important person in the sense at the center, and in a sense, it's because of her that I think the Center of Buddhist Study at the University of Hong Kong has gone so far, has been so successful. I always saw her. I worked there for a little over 10 years, and I saw her so dedicated, and I felt that she was sorry, I'm not the only, there's another one. So one of the most sincere and dedicated. I almost say she was the only, because she was from the beginning. Carol was from very, very beginning, fully dedicated to the cause of the center, to the cause of Buddhist studies, to the cause of Buddhism. Fully devoted, and I sensed her sincerity, her dedication. So I'm extremely happy that today we have another opportunity actually to conduct this ceremony on behalf of her father. Right, now today I want to, as I said, many talk about, again, I cannot control this very well. My computer is better. On the relationship, in terms of, in the context of offering to the Sangha, how we should offer, we should respect the Sangha. Surely you are coming here to offer food and other items to the Sangha out of respect, right? And at this juncture of the happening in the Chinese Buddhist tradition, I think it's very pertinent for me to say a few words relevant to some recent development. And I just want to say that when we see something happen in the Buddhist movement and that seem negative, we feel all very sad. And I'm the least qualified to comment on the right and wrong. I'm not commenting on right and wrong, right? Not for me, because I'm one of those truly what we call prachana, the fanfula. So it's not that, but the thing is that it trickled my mind to want to say something about this relationship between the laity and the Sangha. How do we look at things that happen negatively, right? Now we know that the Buddha has taught us the importance of supporting the Sangha, and that has always been the tradition. One important thing that we observe is that most people, most ordinary people, idealize themselves and idealize the Sangha, idealize and organize religion, including Buddhism. And as a result, there are contradictions, there are conflicts within the heart when things happen. So today I want to share with you by quoting a sutra that is a Mahayana Sutra, and it is one of the earliest, one of the oldest, as far as we know, Mahayana Sutra. Translated at a very early stage in China, and that sutra is not preserved in Sanskrit or Pali now, but we have it in at least 2 translations in Chinese and the Tibetan translation, and that's called the Ugra Paripricha. About a lay bodhisattva. This is about a lay bodhisattva, a householding bodhisattva by the name of Ugra. He wanted to know how to practice as a householding bodhisattva. That's a very, very important question, and he asked Buddha, and the Buddha explains. And among the many, many things that explained, it's so interesting to observe that in this sutra, definitely a very Mahayana sutra, there is no animosity between the laity and the monks. Usually people think that, Mahayana tradition is against traditional monks, and they want to elevate the ideal of the bodhisattva and so on. But no, not in this. And in some other sutra I have shown in my lectures when I was teaching at Hong Kong U, we find that in such very, very old sutras, the emerging, as it were, emerging Mahayanist practitioners, bodhisattva practitioners, they respect the monks very highly, with deep understanding. That's very touching and inspiring, and this is one thing I want to share with you. Today there's no time to go into all the aspects, the important aspects of this sutra, but just this aspect about relationship between the laity and now the laity here referring particularly to a practicing, committed, householding bodhisattva. That is, in Hong Kong, for instance, in the Chinese tradition, in instance, people all mostly claim or believe that they are Mahayana practitioners. Right? So how should we to respect the traditional monks? We find definitely in this sutra, the Buddha has taught that the monk must be highly respected. There's not a word that's negative about the bhikkhus, the arhats, the traditional monks. Right? One thing that's very touching, that is pertinent at this juncture, I believe you understand what I'm alluding to, is that Buddha has taught that the robe must be respected as sacred, and the monks who don the robe must not be idealized as perfect saints. They are imperfect human beings, and we all are. That is the lesson we learn. And even the householding practitioners, they are also not perfect. Those who criticize, those who accuse the monks and the Sangha members, they are very ordinary people. They have to remember that. So now, contradiction arises when we forget this, and we think that we know Buddhism so well, we are quite correct to criticize and to even attack and accuse the Sangha members and point out, to blame the Sangha members, to blame the monks, and they are corrupted, they are wrong, they have done this, they have done that, you see. So, in this context, I just remind myself of this sutra, and I find it very inspiring. That's what I want to share with you today, okay? Actually, the practicing householding bodhisattvas are exhorted to take refuge in the Buddha-Dharma Sangha, the Sangha members also, and very much like the kind of instructions in early Buddhism as well. Now, so let me first read out this part. I'm going to show you the Chinese corresponding, because I think most of you, almost all of you, can read Chinese, and also the English translation is a very old sutra, and as I said, no more Sanskrit and Pali, so we have to rely on the Chinese and the Tibetan. Now, we have a fairly reliable English translation by Professor Jen Natya. So I'm giving a version that is her translation with very slight adaptation. So let me read through this. It won't take very much time. This short passage concerning how a practicing lay person should relate to the Sangha members. Let me hope that after sharing this, everybody feels happy to offer food, to offer items to the monks, even though understanding that we are all imperfect. You see? So the key point is we mustn't idealize. Talking about replication of Buddhism, I always said that to me, the most important point about application of Buddhism is that actually the Buddha's teaching must be applied to our living. That's to me the most important application. It's not, being involved with all these various types of modern disciplines. They have their importance too, but for me, more important thing is that if we can't apply to our life, then it is meaningless to spend so much money, so much time to do it in an interdisciplinary way. So the first thing, application means applying the Buddha's teaching in our life, and it means in our life as unenlightened, imperfect human beings, full of craving, hatred, ignorance. And the Buddha has taught that we all like this. Until we become Arhat, become Buddha, we all have these so-called three poisons, and we can't get rid of them. It's part of human nature. There's understanding human nature. In order to find happiness, to find peace in our existence as human being, first we must understand the nature of human being. According to Buddhism, as far as the nature is concerned, all of us, from beginningless time, not from these few years, not from childhood, not from the past life, but from beginner's time, we have been conditioned by craving, hatred, ignorance, and we have to accept this fact. So we are not perfect, all of us are. And therefore we mustn't expect the monks, the nuns, the teachers, your friends, your colleagues, your fellow Buddhists to be perfect. And we must look at them in that way. But we must look at them with understanding and compassion. That is the main advice by the Buddha in this context. So let me read her translation. Or maybe I should go to the Chinese part. I really should have used my own computer. You see, I can't even move up and down. Now, I have cited two Chinese translations. They are all very ancient translations. Let me quote the version from the Dhammajoti King, that is more readable. The somewhat slightly later translation. Okay， 呢度服侍長者，呢個長者就係個俗家長者，要嘅，在家菩薩又要受持八戒修持修行，應當親近淨戒德行沙門婆羅門。當然啦， 依止給事，不見其過，好有意思嘅，不見其過。若見三門越依戒行，不應不見。That means that we should respect the monks who are virtuous, but even if when we are in the presence of ordinary monks who are not perfect, even those who have transgressions, who have transgressed the precept, we should not look at the transgressions. We should not cease respecting them. If we have a Buddhism like that, it would be wonderful. It would be a positive Buddhism, and we continue to be happy, even though we are struggling. We know the monks are struggling, Sangha members are struggling, we are also struggling. And we appreciate each other, and we mutually support each other, and if one falls down, the other pulls up the person, and that is called spiritual fellowship. Kalyana Mitrata. We need that today. Unfortunately, we lament that we don't see it, or we don't see enough of it. This is the advice of the Buddha in the context of a Mahayana Sutra. Then it goes on to say that the Buddha and the Arahats and so on, they are perfumed by their moral virtues and by their samadhi and by their wisdom and so on, liberation, guided jikin. And the robe is without any stain. The robe itself is stainless. All the fetters are removed, and the robe is a banner of holiness. But of course, there are monks, there are bhikkhus who are not able to, unfortunately, be like the saintly, fully perfected Buddha. We are all not able to, in fact, to varying degrees. But the laity should yi bei bei yao sang dai bei sang. So we must, a very important statement, yi bei bei yao sang dai bei. We must generate great compassion in the bhikkhus. The lay, the householding traditional should not, as a result of the wrong action, wrongdoing, blame the monks, should not look at their faults and should understand that this is 非是彼过，非是彼过，不是他们的过错是劫是救，係彼結救。就係講 that means that when you see Sangha members who have transgression, you must understand with compassion and understanding that firstly it is difficult. It is a precious occasion to don the robe and to struggle in the robe, to struggle in according to Buddha's teaching, even though imperfectly, even though making mistakes. And when they make mistakes, this sutra says, 非是彼過. It's not that actually they make the transgression. What makes the transgression actually is the gitsi, that means the defilements within. Defilement within that impel them. Now we have all greed, hatred, ignorance. In so si o, so that they commit these transgressions, these wrong actions. 此佛法中有於出法，是人能屈，則有是處。是處就係講，就係有咁嘅可能嘅事。 有事處就是有可能的意思啊。怎麼有可能呢？因為有了佛法，你就可以有所謂出法，就係講我哋出就係講做得錯、犯咗錯，我哋可以企起嚟嘅，可以超越呢個錯嘅。點解呢？因為我哋有佛法。在當中最重要係咩呢？就係誠心啦，慚愧心、誠心最重要。我哋要見係呢幾樣嘢。我哋唔係一定要，我哋唔應該係期望出家人係聖人，但係期望我有咩呢？有真誠，期望我哋都有掙扎。如果有呢啲條件，我哋就應該能夠預備生大悲心啦。So it's extremely inspiring teaching. Let me come back to the same place. Let me read now. This is the main part in Chinese. I have read to you, and let me go to read the English for the benefit of those who don't understand Chinese. Also, to make my presentation more smooth, it says like this: Moreover, O eminent householder, and today you are householders. Yeah, you are offering food and supporting the sangha. The householder bodhisattva who lives at home should undertake the eightfold abstinence. They themselves should practice also. Again, they shouldn't pretend. Nobody should be hypocritical, neither the monks, nuns, nor the laity. But just as we hope that the monks and nuns practice according to the Dhamma, the Buddha's teaching, we also expect ourselves as lay people to practice, take the eightfold precepts. He should wait upon, serve, and honor those brahmanas, shramanas who keep precepts, possess good qualities, possess virtuous attributes. And while waiting upon them, serving upon them, honoring about them faithfully, he should recognize his own offenses. We as ordinary beings, as household, we also make offenses. We can't think that we are always perfect. And if he sees a monk, that's a very interesting part. Let me see whether I can control this. And if he sees a monk who has fallen from the conduct of a shramana, he should not disrespect him, even in the slightest. It's a good reminder at this juncture. Rather, he should think to himself, the reddish brown robe of the Blessed One, the Tathagata, the Arahata Samyak Sambuddha, who is without stain and who is free from any stain of defilements, is permeated by morality. It is permeated by meditative absorption, wisdom 就係講戒定慧所分啊，呢幾句話啊。And 解脫啊，解脫之權 liberation, vision, and cognition or liberation, we saw it in Chinese. This being the case, it is the banner of the sages. The robe is the banner of the sages. To make the decision to be a monk already itself is difficult enough, rare enough, and to even continue to struggle, that struggle should be appreciated. And having brought forth respect toward them, he should bring forth great compassion towards the monk who has transgressed the precepts. Make it short. Since the Blessed One has said, do not despise the unlearned, that is her translation. I would probably say the untrained, the uninstructed. It is not he who has committed the offense. 非是彼個，頭先我哋睇嗰句話啊。It is not he who has transmitted the offense. Rather, it is whatever defilements there are in him. 就係嗰啲貪嗔痴啦，嗰啲煩惱啦啊，在內在嘅煩惱。呢啲係人生嘅事實嚟嘅，在家亦如是，出家亦如是。我哋唔需要最緊要就係我哋唔需要虛偽啦，但要有真誠。 但係亦都要能夠咁樣嚟體會嗰啲出家人，所以咁樣咧，我哋修行，我哋掙扎就有意義啦。啊，唔會話啊，而家發生咩事喎？中國而家發生咩事啊？咁我哋仲要咩佛教啊？咩佛法啊？係咩？仲供齋做咩啊？有人同我講，睇咗之前有啲之前香港都有少少嗰啲負面新聞啦，就話我知道啦，我之後決心我唔會供養三寶啊，我唔會做護法啦。啊，你上網而家都睇到多少咁嘅討論嘅。So people who react and say, I know one thing is sure, I'm not going to be a Dharma supporter, I'm not going to be a devotee. I think these people must read this sutra and understand what I said just now. Okay? So, it's not he who has committed the offense, but the defilements within him have manifested this unvirtuousness. But since he has access to the teaching, 因為有佛法嘛，咁你就係講個先決條件就係佢有冇真誠先啦，係咪？有真誠你佛法，你唔修佛法，你永遠都有希望。See, he has access to the teaching of the Buddha, the Blessed One, if he fully comprehends whatever defilement he has and examines them carefully, he will be able to obtain his first fruit. 佢都會成道嘅，所謂出就係咁嘅意思啦，佢都會出呢個罪。He will attain the status of one who is assured of supreme, perfect enlightenment. So this is extreme, as I said, pertinent at this juncture of what have been spreading around and the negative happening that you saw in the papers and everywhere, and and also on an occasion like this, when we are thinking about supporting, shall we support the Dhamma, the Sangha? Shall we support the monks? Shall we offer, like today, we are here to offer food, and that is the support of the Sangha. Does it make sense? And we hope that we have got the answer from the Buddha, or from the, at least from this sutra. Certainly it does. And the important point is, I repeat what I said at the beginning, we must not idealize ourselves, we must not idealize Buddhism, that is to say organized Buddhism. The Dharma is of course always perfect and transcendent, but when the Dharma operates or functions or manifests as organized religions, it's a human religion. And there are always bound to be contradictions, bound to be problems. In fact, that is for that very reason why I emphasize the Buddha-Dharma Center, not the Buddhist Study Institute, you see. And I emphasize the Dharma rather than Buddhism as such. And then I emphasize that we must try to be as far as possible. We can't do it perfectly, but as far as possible, be away from the institutionalized aspect of Buddhism. So, as practitioners, then this sutra tells us, this teaching tells us that we must actually appreciate that that if the person, if the monastic members are sincere and are mindful, they are struggling. Everybody is struggling, and we mustn't think we are superior, we are better. We know the Vinaya better, and we can blame on the monks and the nuns, and we should stop supporting them. Of course, I'm saying this not because I'm hoping that you will continue to give me dana and give me food, but I think it's extremely important message that I want to share with you. So this will be the main part of the ceremony today, the sharing of Dharma. And as I said, every occasion must be made an occasion of practice. We have practice just now. But listen, if we have been doing it mindfully, I hope it sinks into the mind. Not only you, I say we, that is myself also. You see? And the monks and the ladies must mutually be spiritual friends. 就係叫做善知識，叫做同行善知識，就同舟共濟嘅善知識。The monks can be teachers, and at least some monks probably have more time and have put more effort into understanding and the scriptures, and they can explain to you. And probably they have more time, they have done more meditation. So in that sense, they deserve to be your teachers, however imperfectly. At the same time, the monks and nuns can learn from the laity. So in that sense, we are mutually spiritual friends, and the monks and nuns can be inspired by the laity. This is the teaching from the earliest time. I have often said, I mentioned several times that in the scriptures, in the Pali tradition, there are stories about monks preaching on the Dharma seat, talking about sharing about the Buddha-Dharma. A monk who is very, very sincere, and if he is really speaking from his heart, he's the one who is most inspired. So inspired, in fact, there are examples where the monk, while preaching the Dharma, in the very preaching Dharma, himself become enlightened. So it's not that he's always a teacher and high up on the seat and just telling the Dhamma what you should do, what you should not do. But if he's sincere, he comes from his heart, he's sharing them, he's being inspired. And the fact that there are people who are sincere and faithful, listening to him, inspires him. And this is the way I feel inspired here. My students inspire me, my devotees inspires me, my colleague inspires me, however imperfect I am. So there must be this mutual spiritual interaction. That's a very, very important principle from what we learned from the sutra. Also, in ancient time, the monks confess every day. Today, confession becomes a ritual, very mechanical. And in every tradition, including the Theravada tradition, you recite some Pali words, and you're supposed to be purified by reciting those words, and then you enter into the sima, and then you perform the ceremonies. And at least, I would say, in some cases, it is very mechanical, and I don't say all cases. I talk about it, and when I was a student, I went to, there's an island hermitage in Sri Lanka, where Venerable Yanaponika and others, these German monks were there, and they were the people who started the Buddhist Publication Society. And when I was a student, I used to go every now and then in holidays. I stay for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, like this. And then I met quite a few of the monks, foreign monks, and I remember one monk, a German monk called Kassapa, and I discussed with him about this. And he said, actually, in their community, I said, now today people just chant, in Pali without even understanding the Pali. Huh? So does it have any meaning? And he said, actually, I said, therefore, if we confess, we should confess in our language, the language that we use, and not for the sake of mere self-confession, but for the sake of spiritual practice. According to the Buddha's, the Theravada tradition, when you are confessed to, you should accept the other person. It's wrong to reject the person who confesses to you. It's a wonderful teaching, wonderful tradition. So he told me that in their hermitage, there is only about 10 or a dozen of monks, and most of them are foreigners. They actually do confess in English, and they really meant what they said. So it's wonderful. Today, it's very difficult to confess even to your best friends, even maybe to your wife, and between husband and wife, and suddenly even more difficult between, say, disciple and student. But in your heart, in front of Buddha, you can confess, right? You can be honest to yourself, you can be honest to the Buddha. And anyway, I was saying that in the Buddha's time, these monks confess to each other in their language, right? So Pali today is not spoken now, but in ancient time, although the monk may not be exactly speaking Pali, but their dialects are very close to what we call Pali today. And they do it every day, one thing. And another interesting thing is, it's not just not the pupils who confess to the teacher. The teacher also confesses to the pupils. So it's this is spiritual fellowship. It's a method of mutual encouragement. So like that today, we don't literally have to confess to the laity, and you don't go out to the street and yell, "I'm a sinner," and nobody will understand you, and you disturb them, and you get yourself misunderstood. It's not good for you, not good for religion, not good for Buddhism. But the principle, the spirit, should be borne in mind. That is mutual compassion, mutual understanding, like what we have seen in this sutra. Knowing that we are all imperfect, we all make mistakes, it's just normal. If it's true that we all have, in fact we know it's true, we all have craving, hatred, ignorance, and these are driving us. I often say that even our genes are driving us, our hormones are driving us, to make mistakes. And so these messages are very relevant even in modern times. So that is something to be mindful about in terms of the relationship between the laity and the monk, in the context of the laity supporting the monks in various ways, including offering of food and other items. So let us now remember this, and we thank Mr. Leo Kwan for the occasion for us to share this Dhamma, and just like Carol, like the daughter loved the father. Now I believe that the father was not Buddha. I might be mistaken, but certainly not a saint. But you can see that the daughter has great love and affection and credit towards the father. Father is also imperfect, we are also imperfect. So it's like that, a mother to her only child, or a daughter to the father. There is genuine, true love. In this love, you accept the other person as he is. The person is certainly not perfect, but there are always good aspects in every human being. Like this sutra says, even in the monks who make transgressions, you can see sincerity. You can see their determination to struggle. These are important. These are important qualities. So it's when like I want. You think I want to accrue merit for my father. I love my father. I'm grateful for my father. So on an occasion like this, above all occasions, you become mindful about how to accept your father with love as he was. Like a mother accepts the only child as he is. People will say your child is bad, is naughty, and doing this and that, and the police want to go after the child, but the mother said, no, my son is good. I know that he is good. And there's meaning in what she says. Of course, there's a subjective aspect of it. But she is the one who can discern the goodness on the son. So on an occasion like this, when at the time of passing away of a beloved person, this Dharma will become more meaningful. Suddenly, they are alive, And then we think about not only a grateful daughter accepting and hoping the best in the sanctifying of the father, accepting whatever he was, and seeing the good aspects of what he had within, And we learn from there to extend how we should accept other human beings, how we should accept the Sangha. And that is what we want to share today.